Okay, so I just want to say that I think it's funny. I put the little infinity thing behind me because we're going into Lionsgate, which has to do with infinity and opening up possibilities and all that kind of stuff. And we're doing discourse number 8 today. So I thought that was all kind of nice and nice coincidence that it's all kind of lining up there. So although I have not read discourse number 8, it's always interesting to find out what the new chapter is.
Yeah, synchronicities.
Yeah, synchronicities, how we can get it all together. So, are you going to go get your book?
Yeah, I'm just about to walk over there, but you can start if you want.
Okay. So, discourse number 8. This is October the 27th, 1932, Saint Germain. The invocation. Thou mighty, all-pervading presence, thou all-pervading I am, will give praise and thanks for the happiness pervading those under this radiation. We give praise and thanks to the simple key to perfect happiness may be given to bliss and to anchor these children of God into their own firm dominion. We give praise for the harmony maintained within each student and that they feel the necessity to continue it. We give praise that I am everywhere present, controlling every outer activity and bringing it into perfection. I bring greetings to you always. Wow. Yeah, don't give up now. We're only at 8. We have 33 total. The discourse. That which everyone seeks is happiness, sometimes called bliss, and yet many who have sought so earnestly have unknowingly continued to pass by the key to this happiness. The simple key to perfect happiness and its inherent sustaining power is self-control and self-correction. This is so easy to accomplish when one has learned he is the I am presence, an intelligence controlling the commanding of all things. Now, something popped in my head when I read that. Self-control and self-correction. I think this, when they talk about this being important to happiness, the key to happiness, it's how we react to things. You know, our self-control, our self-correction, how we catch when we start to do something that maybe we shouldn't be doing, or say something we shouldn't be saying. When we have that self-control and that self-correction, I think, and be more of the observer versus, you know, jumping in there, really how we react to things. I think that's really important to our happiness. Okay. Surrounding each individual is a thought world created by him or her. Within this thought world is the seed, the divine presence, the I am, which is the only acting presence there is in the universe, and which directs all energy. This energy can be intensified beyond any limit through the conscious activity of the individual. The divine presence within is likened onto the pit or the seed of the peach. The thought world around it onto the pulp of the peach. The pulp represents not only the thought world created by the individual, but also the universal electronic substance, ever present, waiting to be acted upon by the conscious determination of the individual. To be precipitated into his visible use as the form of whatever so he may desire. The pure pathway of the understanding in the use of conscious power comes through self-control. What do I mean by self-control? First, the recognition of the I am intelligence as the only acting presence. Second, that knowing this, we know there is no limit to the power of its use. Third, that in individuals having been given free will and choice do create in the world about them whatsoever their thought through their attention is held firmly upon. Any thoughts?
Just, I like that it says that there's no limit to the power of its use.
Yeah.
That individuals having been given free will and choice do create in the world about them whatsoever their thought through their action is held firmly upon. I mean, it's just always constant reminders to
our thoughts are powerful.
Our thoughts are powerful, and that we have to continue to be consistent. Like we were talking about before, even with work that we do, like Tony Robbins stuff, for example, or priming exercises, for example, like I said, well, I'm not involved in that at the moment. I don't have an event coming up. And so I'm not reminded by an external source that I need to continue to do that priming. I'm not currently meditating regularly like I should, because I'm not surrounded by people that do this on a regular basis. I don't have conversations with people that say they did it. Like, there's no external circumstances happening around me to remind me to do the things that I know are good for me. You just get busy with life, right? But like, by not doing those things, that means that you're not actually doing this work, because this work says you have to continue to focus on it. Like, you have to give it your all the time. Like, you have to continue to do it.
Yeah.
So for me, that's just that reminder that I just have to do that. Like, there's energy medicine stuff that I absolutely love, you know?
Yeah. I know I feel like I go through cycles where, it's really good and then it goes down. And then, I mean, we talked about that in the training too, where you get on, you're doing really good and you get on these plateaus and then you start to fall because you're not doing the things that you should do or learning and growing. And then you have to go up another plateau. And then you have these cycles that you go through. And I think we all go through them. And summer in this time of year is just really hard, I think, for a lot of people, because there's kids are out of school and, vacations and everything. Even when you have grown kids, it's still.
Yeah. And technology, I think, being the way that it is too, because I know, like, dude, Wayne Dyer taught me a long time ago that it's your five closest friends. But if you're not seeing those people, you're not getting together with them on a very regular basis, not like, once a week, like every other week or whatever it is, like, it's just not enough. So you don't even have that external influence by those five closest friends. You could still have those five closest friends, but what if you're only seeing them on Facebook?
Yeah. Well,
right?
Steve, I mean, even with Zoom, it's always more powerful when you're together. Okay. But then even on Zoom, we're having an interaction, which is great. That's better than not being together. But then if you're on Facebook Live and people are just chatting with you, you're getting further, that disconnect's getting further away. Yes, you're feeling and you're having some interaction, but still that's further, further away. And then if someone's just watching a video, then it takes them a little bit further out of the equation. So, we have to do the best that we can do. But if we can have that personal contact, that's the best. But even in Zoom, if people can get on and interact, you're using your brain and you're connecting. So, but that's you have to be engaged, not just sitting in the background. So I think that's important. Hang on just a second. Okay. So the time has arrived when all must understand that thought and feeling are the only and the mightiest creative power in life or in the universe. Thus, the only way to the definite use of the full power of one's thought and feeling, which is God in action, is through self-control, self-correction, by which one may quickly reach the attainment, the understanding whereby he may direct and use his creative thought power without any limit whatsoever. The sufficient self-control is attained, it enables individuals to hold the thought steady upon a given desire, likened unto the flame of the acetylene torch held immovable. Thus, thought and feeling held upon a given desire, unwavering, with the conscious that it is the I am present and intelligence. I am presence and intelligence. Thinking that it is God in action, when will they understand that they may bring into visibility, precipitate into visibility, whatsoever they desire? It has been proved in 1,000 ways that the effect of a thing cannot bring happiness. Only by the understanding of the cause operating may the individual become master of his world. Each individual, knowing that he is the creator of his own world and what he wishes to have manifest in it, will understand that he has no time, any right to create anything discordant in another's world. Thus is each individual left free to meet the effect of his own creative cause. What does that mean?
That the effect of a thing cannot bring happiness. Only by the understanding of the cause operating may the individual become master of his world. So, the effect of a thing cannot bring happiness. So, like cause and effect stuff, like you do this and it brings this happiness. And it's saying that probably like the cause that your happiness in this that specific thing, that your happiness shouldn't come from things like that it should come from within.
Yeah. So he is the creator of his own world, and he wishes to have manifest in it. Will understand that he has no time, any right to create anything discordant in others' world.
Thus, in each individual left free to meet the effect of his own creative cause. Yeah, I feel like it's just that, like
Yeah.
it comes from within.
Yeah, don't look for out for reasons to be happy. You need to look for within.
Right, because the happiness shouldn't come from all of these externals. Like it should come from the work that you're doing. And so I also think that means that we should not look at those external circumstances, right?
Mm-hmm.
We shouldn't look at those external circumstances at not only not causing or being the cause for happiness, but also not being the cause for being in a bad mood or not feeling a certain way, because not feeling in a good way about the work that we're doing is what stops that manifestation.
Right.
So if we continue to look within and feel that source energy and stay in there, that's like what a Buddha does, right? That's what like walking meditations are all about, right? Like, because a Buddha teaches walking meditations because they're living compassionately even when life is happening all around them.
Yeah.
Because that power is coming from within and not from an external source.
Yeah. I think too, part of this is too, is about when we do things that make us happy, you know, whether it's doing something for somebody else, is to do it without expectation, without any attachment to it. Because when we attach what we're doing for other people's, because it makes us happy, and they don't respond the way that we would want them to respond to it, then we get upset about it. But that kind of defeats the purpose of why we were doing it, to make ourselves happy, not necessarily to make them happy. We were doing it for ourselves, and we shouldn't put any attachment on it.
That's true. That's true for me as well, because I've, been not really struggling, but just kind of going back and forth. Like, it's a new energy with not having my shop in person. And I was kind of stuck there for a little bit. Like, I didn't have a lot of visitors, and all of the people that I felt like should have just shown up at least once in 2 years, that didn't, and that for a little while made me feel like, is there something wrong with it? Like, why won't my friends come? Or, like whatever it was, like the people that I've been supporting aren't showing up for me, and just like kind of internalizing all of that. But I had to let that go. And then things got a lot better, but it's kind of the same thing too, right? Like
that's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, even I have struggled with that. Some people that I do things with, and not you, but some people that I do things with locally here all the time, that hardly ever come over and support me,
Yeah.
And so, and I understand everybody can't do everything, but at least when you say you're going to come, show up.
Yes, exactly. So how can we change that perception to, like, because we are not doing it, I guess we're doing those things and we need other people's involvement, right? In order to be successful, you need others' involvement. So how do we change that perception to doing that work if other people aren't showing up to receive it, right?
Yeah. But then we have to look at what's going on inside us that is not attracting those people to show up. That's where that inner work comes in, because it's not them, it's about us. And so that's the hard part.
Yeah. And that's like back to like Tony Robbins stuff, where he says that question, everybody has a question, like, what's that question for you? And one of the ones that I did with him was asking, my question was, what's wrong with me? Like, we all have that question inside our heads, right? And that was like, what's wrong with me? Well, the same thing goes back to that. When something was happening, well, that's that perception was wrong with me, when in reality, it just needs to be turned back around to, like, you create your own reality. And that's exactly what this is talking about right now. You create your own reality. And it's other people, it should not matter, right? But like, we're also living a human experience, so I still have a lot to learn, because even though
in our programming, we're so programmed to worry about what other people think, and we got to get over that.
We do. And I know I've mentioned this a lot, but Nancy, that one thing that Nancy did with us, with where she would talk about being on top of the mountain, like doing work like this is continuing to put you on top of that mountain, so you don't even notice when other things are happening, because you're at a different frequency.
Yeah. But if we get too high of a frequency, although we're bringing people with us, we may be, do we worry about the people we're leaving behind because we're too up there? I mean, where do we?
I think it's that you get to a point that you have shifted, and what she taught us was that those other people are still learning. Like, you can't take everyone with you because they haven't learned that yet.
Yeah.
Right. So they're still having their experiences that they need to teach them, and you can't just pull somebody up from something
Right.
hasn't learned their experiences. They have to learn that. So it's just not, it's not their time. But we're all on the same level playing field, right? Because for a while I thought similar to that, like, does that mean I'm better than somebody? Absolutely not. It just
No.
means that you've hit something different, or you've learned something different. But you still have those, even though it's at a different frequency, you still have things, you know?
I don't
Like,
think that things ever go away.
I don't think so either. Like, and I don't want them
Even
to.
even when we ascend to that back to source, we end up coming back to learn more.
Right.
Why? Because something's, you know, because we need that. We want it.
Yep. And I think that you have to flow with what's happening with the universe also. And when you're at a higher frequency, um that has its own set of problems too, but you're more in tune with the earth's flow, like the Lionsgate thing coming up, like really paying attention to what that is. And you're gonna have to tell me more because I don't completely know, but leaning into that more. Like, someone in this group that I'm in asked this morning, hey, Mercury retrograde is coming up, like, I need a list of like things that are happening in the earth and on the planet so you can prepare for them, because people don't know. And like, I commented that things with Mercury retrograde, like when something is happening to you and you don't like it, like pay attention to what that lesson is. And if you don't like the way that you're perceiving it, if it's too hard for you, then to ask your guides to show you a different way, right?
Yeah.
And those are things that have come with years and years of learning and growing and having that experience and shifting that frequency. Whereas other people are eventually going to learn the same thing, but because you've done that and you're able to share that, it continues to bring those people up with you.
Yeah. And I think too, is that when we start getting affected by those negative things, sometimes I don't like to know they're coming to prepare for them, because then you're giving it power. You know what I'm saying? You're for me, if I know, Mercury retrograde's coming, I can expect all of these bad things all of this resistance to show up, and I don't want it to show up. So, when you think about it, then that gives it power. So I don't like to know about it. But what I do like is that when I do start feeling that resistance, then to go look what could be causing the resistance, or, and then turning it around. How do I want to feel, and how can I get there?
But
So
because you've done this work for so long and you're at a different frequency, you're able to pull some people up that way. Because just like if someone goes back and listens to what you're saying, what we're saying right now, that is on a new journey, that is new to all of this, like just those words that you just said can completely change someone's perspective, because they internalize so much that they say, oh, this is resistance. They don't even recognize it. Whereas we recognize when we have fear, we have resistance, that we're creating that, but not everybody does.
yeah. I think that comes back to when we were sharing about the stories from Tony Robbins and even Dean, when they say the same story, because we are at different frequencies. When we actually hear it the second time and the third time, we get something different from it. And so,
Right.
So that's really important. Okay, where were we?
1 second. I have to
I think I rejoice. I think that's where we're at.
do you want me to read?
If you'd like to.
Okay. I'm sending you a text real quick.
Okay.
It's just a picture that. Okay.
Are we recording still? Yes. Okay.
Okay, where I rejoice, right?
Yes.
Did you see the
No, I'm pulling it up. Where my camera is? See, I'm looking at your picture, but I have no idea where my eyes are, because I can't see my picture. I'm looking at your picture, and my camera's right down.
Oh gosh. Okay.
You're
I
so funny.
rejoice exceedingly to see the success with which each student under this radiation is coming into the mastery and control of the outer self. Okay, I rejoice exceedingly to see the success with which each student under this radiation is coming into the mastery and control of the outer self. Here I must say to them, beloved students, we're always students. That's what I was trying to think. Like, no matter what frequency you're on, you're always a student. Could you but understand and see the magnificent splendor of achievement before you, through asserting self-control over the outer activity, you would bend every effort, every moment to attaining control and mastery over all outer expression. Thus, will you be enabled to maintain the needed harmony through which the inner mighty power of the I Am Presence is liberated into your consciousness and visible use. Let use disabuse the minds of these beloved students of the sense of time, distance, and space. The key, which opens the entrance to all higher spheres above you, lies in the simplicity and firmness of this self-control. All students should dwell earnestly upon the great truth that where your consciousness is, there you are, for I am everywhere. That reminds me of like what you pay attention to is what you get more of. Where your focus goes, your energy flows.
Yeah.
Long dwelling in consciousness that there was space, great distance, or that there is time is all but the outer creation of man. Therefore, to step through this gossamer veil that separates your outer consciousness from its full inner power and activity is but a state of thought and feeling. Those who are teaching are reaching to the light so earnestly, desiring to live in and be children of the light, are dwelling constantly in these higher spheres. The beauty of these spheres surpasses the fondest imagination of the outer consciousness. When you enter them consciously and at will, you will find all creation there just as tangible as your physical buildings are here. To take your firm stand, I am the power of my complete self-control, forever sustained, will make it easier for you to gain this mastery. I am the power of my complete self-control, forever sustained. Students must be conscious that when they recognize the I Am Presence acting, it is impossible for it to be interrupted or interfered with in any way. Though there is no time nor space, then the knowing of the vastness of eternity is within your grasp. To enter a higher sphere than your physical world in full consciousness is but an adjusting or changing of your consciousness. How do we do this? A, by knowing we are consciously there. Affirm often. Through the power of the electronic circle, which I have created, I am no longer touched by any doubts or fears. I joyously grasp the scepter which I am and step boldly forth into any of these higher spheres that I wish, retaining perfectly clear conscious memory of my activity there. In this way, one may quickly find himself enjoying limitless freedom and the perfect happiness of being active in any sphere he chooses. To be aware of what is 1,000 years in advance is as easily and readily attained. In fact, more so, as going to your library in search of a book. The great delusion, the outer consciousness of mankind has built up, creating time and space in its belief, has been the great stumbling stock to humanity's freedom. Those who have reached the great delusionment that wealth or the outer effect of things cannot bring happiness will continue with great blessings, and within their own creative thought, power, and feelings are held perfect happiness, perfect freedom, and perfect dominion. When the student once understands that whatsoever he connects himself with through his attention, he becomes a part of to the degree of the intensity with which his attention is fixed. He will see the importance of keeping his attention off the seeming destructive angles of human experience, no matter what they are. Seemingly destructive angles of human experience. Those are pretty powerful little words to hear, right? Seemingly destructive angles. And oftentimes I just say, like, we're having a human experience. Like, but why like is my perception that a human experience has to be problems? Right? Like, who taught us that you have to have problems in your human experience? That because I don't think a lesson has to be a problem. You can learn and grow and evolve without.
I think our basic program default is off of fear and not of love.
Yeah, because even the words that they use here says seeming destructive angles.
Right. So if we frame some of those angles as not out of fear and into love, then they won't be destructive. It'll be part of growth. But because we do things out of fear that don't make us grow.
Hey, can you pause for just a second?
What were we saying?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can't hear you now.
Huh. Well, you didn't mute yourself on Zoom. You did something else with your phone.
I hear you now.
Okay. So where were we? So that seemingly destructive angles. I think if we reframe things that seem like they're destructive instead of facing it out of fear and love and growing with it, I think that's the destructive part. You're either growing, constructing something positive, or you're destructing it and moving backwards. But I think if we can reframe things that might be seemingly destructive into a more constructive way, that we can grow from it and learn from it and have that experience.
I think that's why knowing like that your perception is key there, right? Because if you can change your perception on something, like, well, this person did something that hurt me, well, what created that situation in that person?
Yeah. I think too, if we're talking about we're supposed to be coming from inside instead of outside, a lot of that seemingly just.
Hang on.
Okay. Okay, so my thought was that seemingly destructive angles of human experience has to do with perception. And if we're looking to the outside for that, there's attachment to it. But if we're looking from it from the inside, from love and how we can grow from it, there's not so much attachment to it. Does that make sense?
So the very next paragraph says, to discuss this seemingly inability, shortcomings, or faults of your friends and associates, but builds that element upon which your discussion rests within your own consciousness, and also adds to the appearance which seems to be in the other individual. I mean, that's basically what perception is, right?
Yeah.
Because there are Black magicians in the world, certain of God's children, who are misdirecting and contaminating the pure electronic energy of the I Am presence, is no reason why we should let our attention rest upon that fact, just because we are aware of it. Our business is to hold the attention free to rest within our own self-control.
Yeah. Our business is to hold the attention free to rest within our own self-control.
Compelling it by the conscious action to rest on whatsoever we choose. So we have that choice to have an emotion.
Right. And I get there too, that this part of this is about boundaries too.
Yeah. Do you understand that when their attention is called to some destructive thing, how much and how often they allow the attention to go back to it, or if another has displeased them in some way, how much and how often the attention returns to that incident when they have the full power to control their attention and make it obey their command. That's like looking back at the past, right?
Yeah.
That's continuing to say, this person hurt me, or, right? That's like not living in the present. I mean, after all, it is called the I am present. Right?
Right.
Few, even among earnest students, yet understand what a mighty power their faculty of attention becomes under their controlled use. I wish so much to impress upon the students how foolish it is to be affected, displeased, or disturbed by the imaginary activities of the ignorance of the outer self. That's like the imaginary activities. That means it's not real, because it's not in perfection, right?
You're
It's
making
not
it up in your head. It's the story you're telling yourself.
Yep. When they once know I am the only all-powerful acting presence in my mind, my body, and my world, they cannot possibly be affected or disturbed by any of their associations in the outer world. They must know then that they are entirely immune from hurt or disturbance of the outer mind. So other individuals, no matter what they try to do. With this understanding, or by giving willing attention to this great truth, they will soon find peace, happiness, and self-control operating about them to such an extent that no outer condition, disgruntled comment, or disturbance of their associates could in any wise disturb them, their world, or their affairs. As soon as the individual becomes aware that he really has control of his own creative thought, power, and feeling, then he knows positively that he can precipitate into his visible use, or bring into his use from the outer, where it is already created, anything whatsoever upon which he holds his creative thought and feeling firmly. The moment that he is truly aware of this, he will know he is forever free from the need of wealth of the outer world, or anything that the outer world would give. Thus, he has entered into the mastery and dominion of his own world, the only world that is ever existent to him, in which is his God-given birthright. That's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
I assure you, there is no such thing as a supernatural world. As we step from this sphere of activity into another higher, that one becomes just as real as this. It is simply a different state of consciousness we have entered into. To the joy, glorification, and blessing of the mothers, sisters, wives, and daughters, I will say that within 100 years, there will be hundreds who will be able to use the cosmic rays to cleanse their homes and keep them so, to weave their seamless garments, when they will have no desire to follow the freakish styles created by some commercialized idea. I find so many of the students wondering, how is that ascended being or masters, with all of their creative power, often choose to live in humble quarters? I assure you the explanation is very easy. The far greater part of their life and activity is spent in the higher spheres, in which they are directing mighty rays of light to the blessings of humanity, from homes and temples of light and wisdom, so beautiful, so transcendent, as almost to stagger the imagination of the outer consciousness. Those homes and temples are eternal, ever becoming more and more beautiful. So they only spend a few hours in the visible world, which causes them to lower their density of their transcendent forms, that they may become visible to those yet occupying the physical body. If the student will understand this, it will save them much questioning and confusion in the outer expression, which time they can use in the activity of the mighty I am present. So that kind of like reminds me of being on that mountain, right? Like when you're in that space. But hold on, there was something. What did he say? Cosmic. Oh, okay. So I will say that within 100 years, there will be hundreds who will be able to use the cosmic rays to cleanse their homes. So would you say, like, what are the cosmic rays that you use to cleanse? Just bringing
Energy.
in intention, light, cosmic rays.
Yeah.
And that if you're living within that internal I am presence, that the external, that you don't even, like when you're on that mountain, you don't even see it.
Yeah.
Like, what did I stop?
You stopped at, this will bring.
Okay. This will bring them into that transcendent state and consume the longing for the wealth of the outer world, which is but rubbish in comparison to the transcendent creative power inherent in every individual. They can bring this transcendent power into their use through their own self-control and mastery. I say to you, beloved students, children of the one God, is it not worth your sincerest effort when you know you cannot fail? Take your scepter of the mighty creative power and be forever free from all past binding limitations which have beset mankind through the ages. I assure you that everyone who enters it to attain the scepter and mastery will be given every needed assistance if each one will try with all of his ability. Let me read that again. I assure you that everyone who enters in to attain the scepter and mastery will be given every needed assistance if each one will try with all of his ability. So we just have to keep going.
Yeah.
Right.
And to do it.
Yeah. Like no excuses, right? Like,
yeah, and it tells you it is not worth your sincere effort when you isn't it not worth your sincere effort when you know you cannot fail?
mm-hmm.
And how many times do we not do something because we're so afraid we are going to fail? And if we would just get out there and do it.
Mm-hmm. I started at the gym about a week ago. And the last time I went to the gym, it was just so hard, like it was just hard. And every step on the treadmill or whatever was just like, it was just so hard. And I have Jada with me, and we were like, okay, let's go to the gym. And I used to do an elliptic glide years and years ago, and I got on it with just different, like not looking at the past, but like right now,
Yeah.
and that I've made changes already, that I've prepared myself to be stronger mentally and physically. And I did like 15 minutes on an elliptic glide, and I used to have not, I mean, 5 minutes was so hard that I just wouldn't continue. So the first day I did 15 minutes. The second day I did 30 minutes, like on a fast pace of an elliptic glide. And the last 2 days I've done 45 minutes.
Wow.
Like
yeah.
at a fast pace. I know, at a fast pace. And I did it, I noticed that it was the beat of a specific song. And so the beat turned me into looking to AI to see what other songs have that specific beats per minute. And I didn't even want music. I just wanted the beats to this. And then I thought, drumming.
Yeah.
So I found drumming beats and played them. And that's what did it for me. Like, so
It takes you
now
out
when
of your
I'm,
head too, where you're not thinking about the past
yes,
and anything
yes,
else. You're right here in the
yes,
presence, listening to the sound. And so that
yep.
takes you out of your brain saying
And
that
like, why has nobody ever told me, hey, you should run to drums? I guess that's not everybody's thing, but like,
but there's a lot of
I
people
mean,
who listen to music when they run and they're doing the same thing. They get into a cadence with the music. I used to do that with reading. So I would put on just to get me out of my head while I was reading, thinking about lots of other different things. but I would put on a really fast paced, like Beethoven and stuff like that. I would put it on really, really low where I could barely hear it, which would force me to listen to it harder as I was reading. And then the beats of the music, I could read really, really fast.
Mhm.
You know, I used to read a novel a day.
Wow. Did
I
you use
used
some?
to, I used to read a novel. I don't anymore. I don't hardly, I mean, I read, but I don't read like that, like I used to, but I used to read a novel a day.
Wow. The one having the understanding of his creative ability must know that he can create whatever he will and whatever rate of his vibration he desires to hold it, whether it be light or any other condensation he may choose to maintain it. You know you have the ability to change your thought from Chicago to New York in the same instant. You know you can change your thought from a condition of light to one of very dense condensation, such as iron. Then one cannot help but see that this which he does every moment consciously and at will, he can bring into a more powerful use by consciously fixing the attention and holding it upon what he desires. The attention is the channel by which God's mighty energy through the thought and feeling flows to its directed accomplishment, because one has not yet precipitated something from the invisible there that is lurking doubt until some simple manifestation has occurred. That's true.
Yeah.
Then his courage and confidence leap into dominion, and into the future he has no trouble in precipitating whatsoever he desires.
So we
So,
talked about that with, once that little bit of doubt comes in, then it kind of shuts it off or
but
slows it
also,
down.
yes, also reversed of that, like when I stepped on that treadmill for that elliptoglide, for example, and I looked down and I had done it for 2 minutes, dude, that was all the motivation I needed. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I did it. It's like it only takes a tiny, simple little shift to to move you.
Yeah.
The precipitation of gold or jewels from the invisible to the visible is as simple as breathing. When once that foolish questioning doubt accumulated by the outer is consumed or pushed aside. So we can consume it by using these affirmations, and we can push it aside, just that mental ability just to move and go. Mankind through the centuries has built up these walls of limitation. Now they must be broken up, shattered, and consumed in any way that we can do it. At first, it does take determination to do it, but when you know it is the I am power acting, you know that it cannot fail. I'm gonna say that I am I am power acting and I cannot fail. That could be like
Yeah.
huge, right? I
Yeah.
am power acting and I cannot fail. I am power acting and I cannot fail. I am power acting and I cannot fail. The outer only has to hold the attention fixed on other object to be made visible. Dwell on this, and all of a sudden you will find yourself into the activity, and you will be amazed that you dwelt so long without using it. The length of the ray from a precipitated substance or condensation of light is controlled by the consciousness of the wearer. If the wearer's consciousness is raised very high, the scintillation is very great. The jewel of light is yet in its transcendent state of perfection. The jewel in a condensed substance, such as a diamond, emerald, or ruby, naturally will take on the condition of the wearer. The jewel in a condensed substance, such as diamond, emerald, or ruby, naturally will take on the condition of the wearer. If the rate of thought vibration in the person wearing it be low, the jewel will come lustrous, while if the thought be transcendent, it will become very luminous. So, I mean, that's just saying that, like, that crystal is going to absorb that energy and bring us back to the I am present space.
So and so that brings us back, those people that buy those crystals and then all of a sudden they crack or they burst or they fracture because they've absorbed or taken on as much as they possibly can. And they have to release that in order to continue. And how our thoughts, how we feel actually affect everything around us. You know, when I'm in frustration, my computer does not like me at all.
Yeah.
You think about that. When you're in frustration, fear, or whatever, you have a hard time dialing 911, you have all of that gets in the way. It affects everything around you. But if you can calm down and look at it through a different lens, then things can happen will happen a little bit better.
When one has become a sincere student reaching to the light, he must qualify everything in his environment with the quality of the I am presence, no matter what the appearance seems to be. You see, there cannot be a quality or an appearance in your world except for what you give to it. If fear causes you to believe in a disturbing presence, you're responsible for it. Because if there were to be a disturbing presence and you qualified it by the I am presence, you see how impossible it would be for it to disturb you. There is only one energy acting, and the moment you acknowledge the I am presence, you have requalified that activity with perfection. Expectation is very powerful qualifying consciousness to maintain. Expectation. Intense expectation is a splendid thing. It manifests always. The individual through these centuries has created a veil through which he has shut out these transcendent spheres. If he has created it, which he has, then common sense and reason will tell one that he can uncreate it. A powerful radiation has gone forth to yourselves and students with the powerful convictions that will be sustained until they have this work, which is given today, to convey the simplicity, the ease, and certainty with which the idea through creative thought and feeling can be brought into visibility is a thing that students should dwell upon. This will dissolve the feeling of can I, and in its place put the I can and I know. If the student will keep themselves harmonious from time to time, they will have flashes that will give them all needed confidence. And to all commands on going out of the body, that you retain the conscious memory of whatever you experience. Stick right to a thing from the start and know that whatever knowledge you need will be forthcoming instantly. When you allow the attention to become fixed upon a thing, you that moment give it power and act in your world. So, like, because we've all had this spark of creativity or whatever we want to call it, the same as when you've had the opposite, like when you have this little bit of doubt and then it just goes down from there. You have this little bit of
anger, resentment, jealousy, whatever.
Yes. And even opposite, it's saying that you start having all of these experiences, all these like doing the work with Dean, you have these aha moments, you have these sparks of creativity, you constantly have this stream of all of what's happening is good around you, and how to consume or move something happening in the external world, that eventually that will be your norm. Right? Like that will be what happens. So, and that happens to me often when I've said many times that a problem doesn't feel like a problem anymore. A problem feels like a way to grow, right?
To move out of your sphere of influence.
Mm-hmm.
So Tony talks about that, the sphere of influence, and then you get stuck in this bubble, you don't grow. but then something happens to you and you have to move past that and beyond it, and it moves you out into another sphere. So you keep growing into another sphere. Your sphere of influence gets bigger, and you have to grow with it or you stay stagnant.
Okay, so we're at the benediction.
Ooh, already.
Okay. Though great happiness, the mighty presence and power which I am, I qualify there to go forth in the hearts of mankind, anchoring there and filling their minds, bodies, and homes, filling them with thy great happiness. Open the door of their consciousness so that the mighty power which I am can come forth in full perfection. O mighty presence, hold the children of light, the individualities of God, hold them close in thy embrace, letting thy quality flow forth in their command, filling them with thy great peace. O mighty presence of justice, enter in and reign in all official places. Let the destructive intent of mankind be revealed, that it may be cast out and be consumed. Let the fullness and power of thy radiant light enfold all, and thy glorious transcendent light fill all places. And so it is.
And so it is.
That was a great discourse.
Yeah, that was good. And to know that what we create, if we create something that we don't want, we can uncreate it.
Yeah, and the more you do this work, the easier that is. It's so obvious that, oh, I just need to make that shift back. And because you've done it for so long and you've done the work and you have so many experiences to fall back on.
Yeah. And that last part, and it talks about that too, about how where did it go? It hints to the fact that when we start doing the work, or when we're undoing something, or when we're creating something else, we're always looking for evidence to build that confidence, which makes it easier to do it. I think that's kind of what I was thinking of.
Do you have any space for another one this week so we can get caught up?
I can't Friday.
Okay. What time's good?
I'm open most of the day, so what do you think? You want to do it closer to lunch to see if somebody else can jump on with us?
Yeah.
This kind of was at lunch, at noon?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, I got it in my calendar.
Yeah, so see everybody on noon on Friday, August the 9th.
Sounds good.
All right. Awesome.
Love you.
Love you too.
Bye.